again, like I said, I shared a birthday with him. We got into the game from a similar crew called Campfire Music. We changed the face of underground music out here in Las Vegas. He was the designing force behind that. Me and him put together some really good campaigns that a lot of people came out and partied to. So, yes, sir. You know, we implemented a lot of good marketing strategies we learned from like McDonald's and Nike and stuff like that. It's about that time. It's keynote speaker time. All right, all right. You know, we got one more speaker of the evening, so I'm gonna need a lot of love. This man comes from great stock. He's part of a fight team, and my man just spoke about the coach, Dewey Cooper. He's been an influence in the city for a long time. He's done a lot for the hip hop community. He's built men into warriors. He's built warriors into legends. And this is a future legend right here. I need y'all to make some noise for Ode Osbourne, the Jamaican sensation, UFC fighter, and community activist. It's my pleasure. My guy.
So first and foremost, I'm gonna blame me getting punched in the head a lot on my memory. So I'm gonna put this here for memorization. I wrote tons and tons of just little details I wanted to share. But before I get into that, I want to say thank you, Art, for putting on this great space, man. There's so much talent in this room. Like I was so at awe. You know, I've only been in Vegas here for 2 years. And I came here from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My mom worked her ass off, you know, raised a bunch of money, and finally, when I turned 9 years old, was able to bring me to the States, to no other than Brooklyn, New York. And that's where I first emerged, in Brooklyn. And only about 3 months after living in Brooklyn, the world was shook up by 9/11. And after 9/11 happened, you know, it was a big culture shock for my mom and I. You know, for me, even worse, because I've only been here for 3 months. She's been here 2 years, you know. So for me, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. So we ended up moving to Palm Beach, Florida, where, you know, my passion for wrestling started. And I played football and I wrestled. But wrestling was what I stuck to because it taught me a lot about life. Football, whenever we lost, I could blame my teammates. I could say, oh, you know, that receiver didn't catch the ball. You know, the quarterback was off. I didn't have to take no responsibility, but wrestling was whatever I put in, that's what I got out. The amount of work and dedication I put into something, that's what I got back. And that's what wrestling taught me. It taught me about life and responsibilities. I used wrestling to make a way to college because I knew, you know, I'm like, I don't have money to, you know, I didn't learn how to read until I was like 12 years old. I didn't go to school that very often in Jamaica. You know, we were predominantly worried about, you know, finances, food, things like that. So, you know, we couldn't really afford to go to school. So when I first came to America, I started going to school frequently. And let me just tell you, man, the education system does not give you a chance to learn if you have not learned previously. What I mean is they always want to take a youth and they tell you, oh, we got to bring you from a 1 to a 10. But they forget some of the times that some of us kids aren't even a 1. We're like a -6. And we got to get to a 1 first before we can get to that level 10. You know, so I'm very passionate about what I do. I used wrestling to get to college, where I found my love for MMA. The wrestling program was dropped the first year, man. I worked my ass off to get to college to use that wrestling program. I was a 3-time state place winner in high school. I was the only kid in my high school to place 3 times as a high schooler. So I used that ability to build something of myself. And I said, here I am. I did something for me. And when I got there, they were like, yeah, nah, we're going to drop the program. And so I'm like, okay, come on, God. You know, God is my everything. So I always go to him for everything that I do. So I was like, God, like, I don't know what to do now. You know, at the time, I was paying for college out of pocket. My mom was a single mom, you know what I mean? She was helping me pay for college. And I'm like, God, I don't know what to do. I only came to Wisconsin. I would have gone to Wisconsin of all places. Come on now. Wisconsin? Like, oh man, you know, so God was like, look, listen, you have much work to do. You are broken. You need to be rebuilded. In order for me to rebuild you, you need to isolate yourself from everybody. And Wisconsin is the perfect place for you. It is cold, it is miserable, and you are not going to like it. But guess what? It's going to make you stronger, and stronger it did. What I did was I found the closest gym close by, and I went to the man that was working at the gym, and I said, look, I don't have a job, I can't work, I don't have a visa. You know, technically I'm not really allowed to work. So whatever I can do, I will clean the gym, I'll mop the mats, I'll clean your car, whatever you need me to do, I will please give me an opportunity to train you. And he looked at me dead in the eye and he said, if you're gonna work with me, there's a set of rules that you're gonna have to follow by, because this is my gym and you have to follow by my gym rules. And this man was, he was a very, very interesting man, to say the least. His name was Reese, and Reese gave me the biggest opportunity that he didn't know would change my life forever. And I started, you know, training under Reese. Some days I would come late, and I would have to do 100 up-downs, like jumping up, going down. It wasn't to punish me, but Reese knew, like God said, I had work to do. I needed to build discipline. So Reese molded me. He shaped me. He taught me about time and the value of time. I'm not punishing you because you're late. I'm punishing you because you're not respecting my values and my time. So that is what I'm doing to you. Reese brought me to church, introduced me to God. Reese became the first man I ever loved. You know what I mean? He became my father figure. I never had a father figure. My dad left when I was 7, moved to England. You know what I mean? It was just me and my mom. So the fact that this man believed in me was everything to me. And that was powerful. I'd never felt that before. So I knew I had to win every fight for Reese because I loved him. Every fight I did. As an amateur, no one could touch me as an amateur. No one. Reese taught me discipline. Although I was untouchable, he also taught me humility. He said, son, you are untouchable. Don't forget. Even Billy Badass can get his ass beat. So you better humble yourself and be humilitant. I don't know if I said that right. But he taught me a lot about humility. Never brag, never boast. Be humble all the way through and through. So I turned pro as a professional fighter. Also never lost a fight under Reese. Reese was such an amazing man. He picked me up every day on his motorcycle. Took me, you know, I was 19, 20, 21. You know, I needed that. I needed somebody to show me and guide me in the right way. And he really did. And, you know, he molded me as a person. And I'll never forget one night, you know, 2015, probably one of the worst nights of my life, you know, getting a phone call that he passed away on his motorcycle. And, you know, it really, it shook me. It really shook me. So I said again, anytime something bad happens to me, I go to God, you know what I mean? Because we have a tendency as humans, we go to God when things are good, but we don't when things are bad, you know, or vice versa. So I go to God for everything. So I was like, God, like, you know, man, this was the man that I needed in my life, and you brought him to me, and then he was taken away. Why? You know, and God said to me, I didn't do this. This is free will. This happens. This is free will, but this will set you on a new course, a new journey that will lift you up and become something great. And so that's what happened. I trained, you know, and in 2019, I got signed to the UFC. But prior to that, what Reese did for me, I wanted to do for every single kid in Milwaukee. So I applied for an assistant teaching position at the local school, and they told me, they said, nah, you don't have any experience, so you can't work here. I was like, well, I just got my visa, and I just was able to work, so how was I supposed to get experience? And they're like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And so, you know, I was like, well, what can I do? And they said, well, there's an after-school program you can work at. So, you know what, I applied for the after-school program, and when I got there, I saw all the kids running around. They were like, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th grade, just running around. And I asked them, well, where are the structures? Where is the structure? What are all the kids doing? And they said, well, We have them play video games and play board games from 3 o'clock until the parents get them at 6 o'clock. And I looked at the principal and I said, so you are setting these kids up to fail. And y'all want them to get from a level 1 to a level 10? How is that even possible? So I was like, you know what? No. Every single day when these kids come in the room, we're going to get our homework done. That's what we're going to do. The kids didn't like it at first, but as kids don't, they love discipline. You know, I taught them how Reese taught me. I said, every single day, we'll do homework. And I explained to them, I'm not having you do your homework because I want to punish you. I want you to do your homework because I love you. And most of you guys look like me. And when you look like me, you got to work twice as hard. And especially some of you women in here, all the girls got to work 3 times as hard. If you look like me and you're a woman, got to work 3 times as hard as the men. Okay? So that's what I did for, 2 or 3 months. The parents were coming to me, thanking me, because now the parents were happy because the kids, they didn't have to do their homework. A lot of the parents weren't as educated, so they couldn't help their kids with homework. And a lot of kids were living with grandma and grandparents, and grandma and grandpa wasn't able to help them with their homework. So parents were happy, kids were happy because the homework helped them with their, with their studies. They didn't do any class work. They left the school from a chaotic mind, came downstairs, and they have a school program with a chaotic mind, and these adults want to give them more chaos. I'm like, no, when we do free time, we're going to earn that. And so I taught them about discipline. So that's why I'm super passionate about education. And 3 months later, the principal approached me and he said, you got the assistant teacher job. It's yours if you want it. Because he knew all the parents saw me, all the kids saw me, all the staff saw me. And I didn't just mean see me, I mean they saw me. They saw me for who I was, and I wanted to help them. And so I used that opportunity to actually teach the kids. And then the following year, I ended up being the math teacher. Did the same thing. I took those kids. I couldn't read until I was 12 years old. 12 years old. I struggled in middle school. I struggled to read in high school. When I finally got it, it was amazing. And every time I entered a class, the teacher pretty much would tell my mom, like, you know what, we're gonna have to put him in special ed. You know what I mean? He's not getting it. We're just gonna put him in special ed. Every school I went to, every teacher said that to me. We're gonna have to put him in special ed. Well, guess what? If no one pays attention to you and no one actually sees you, how are your gifts supposed to shine? So that is what I did for these kids, because I realized something. God gave me gifts for me to shine. I had to bring the same gifts out of these children, and that's what I did. My math class, every single year, was the #1 math class in the entire school, state test-wise, every single year. Because I wasn't this great. It's not that I was the greatest math teacher ever. It's that I wrote everything down. If there's one thing to take from today, it's write everything down. If you own a business, write things down. You should be spending 15 minutes a day writing things down. What I would do with my kids was I would test them on different things. When I would call on them and I realized they would react a certain way, I would write down, okay, you know what? Jonathan didn't react right when I called on him on this problem, so he probably don't like to be called on. So guess what? I'm not going to call on him if it makes him feel a certain way. I wrote every single thing down, and I knew how every single kid ticked. And I used that to develop my own program, which we'll be launching. It's called The Wolf. The Wolf is designed. I created an educational program. Wisconsin is 6th in education, 7th in education. When I moved to Vegas here 2 years ago, lo and behold, I found out there were 49th in education out of 50, and I was not pleased with that. So I gathered all of the notes that I took for 6 years, gathered all of the notes, and I revamped everything, and I said, you know what? I want this education program to go into every school in Nevada, and every state around Nevada. Because kids are the most important things right now. They are the future. The kids are the future. So right now, I partnered with Grant Okinawa back there. He's from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Community Engagement. They are amazing. If you want, guys, if y'all need any information on how to reach the community, Grant has been amazing. I approached him when I moved to Vegas about ways to get into the schools. And 2 days, we were going 2 days a week. We were going to Gunderson Middle School, and I was speaking to the kids. I was going to Del Sol High School, speaking to the kids. We went to Hollywood Rec Center, speaking to the kids, because again, what's the point of this? Why has God given me the opportunity to fight for the UFC? It's not for me. It's to be here and somehow network with all of you to help the kids, to at least take what I have and give back. You know what I'm saying? Because what is the point? What's the point of this? Somebody up here said earlier, I didn't want to be successful without my friends. I wanted my friends to be millionaires. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it was Precious, yeah, she said, Promise, my bad. Promise said she wanted to be millionaires with all her friends, So yeah, right now this is where I need my notes. Right now, what I do is I own a podcast studio called Wagwan. Wagwan is patois in Jamaica. It means what's going on. So I have a lot of UFC fighters come on my podcast, and I give them a platform. The same concept. I write a lot of things down. So for my podcast, I write down my goals. My goal for my podcast is to give UFC fighters a platform that doesn't necessarily get one. Because I'm going to say it without saying it. The UFC sometimes, they have a look. They have a look and they promote. And it's not me. It's not me. So I try to give a lot of people a chance that I see. That person has a really great personality. He's got a really great thing about him. The world should know about this person. So I'll bring them on my show. I'll have them talk about, what it is that they're doing. You can find Wagwan on Spotify. It's WAHGWAAN. Or Wagwan with Ode Osbourne on YouTube. Right now, I'm actually creating a documentary of myself. I saw, what was your name again, sir? Iceberg, yes. He talks about my coach. My coach actually is Dewey Cooper. So it was really a pleasure for me to listen and hear. Because Dewey actually, he's pretty humble. He tells me things, and I'm like, what? He used to rap? You did what? I'm like, you telling me all this stuff? I had no idea. So yeah, man. There's a guy, his name is Marcus Miles. He did Deion Sanders' documentary. I'm working on my documentary with him. I would love to get your information as well. My program is called The Wolf. The Wolf, I told you, it revolves around building up children and their self-efficacy. What that means is it doesn't focus on the math, the reading, and the science. It focuses on the discipline, the respect, the motivation, the structure, things like that. The real thing that, gives them a safety net. I didn't have a safety net. When I left high school, I was very undisciplined. I didn't know how life operated. I didn't know how business operated, you know what I mean? Until I started writing things down. So that's my key note point for you guys, is just to make sure you write everything down that you're doing and document them. Because in the end, you will be able to use what you've written down. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense at the time. Just write it down anyways. Because over time, it will make sense. I didn't know what I was writing down. I didn't know that I was going to be able to use everything with the kids today. And I did. Today I have a great program that will be launched in January of 2024. It's called The Wolf. And The Wolf will launch here in Las Vegas first and foremost. And I just want to say again, I loved all the speakers that I saw and heard today. Y'all are amazing. Give yourselves a round of applause, man. And thank you again. Thank you to Art, man. Good. Thank you so much, Art, man. Art's been, him and I hit it off right when I got to Dewey's gym, and he's just been such an amazing part, of helping me grow, and we've been growing together, and that's what this is all about. We can all grow together. Like I said, man, my biggest thing is that I want to grow with all of you guys and help you guys to grow any way that I can. Another person said, I like what she said. She was dropping some good nuggets. Leverage. I love what she was talking about when she said leveraging our friends and our people. I love that. So let's leverage together. Thank you.
Yes.